Okay, so this one is really good, ladies and gentlemen. I have something pretty exciting here sent over from Asus. This is one that I've been waiting for a pretty long time here in 2025. We're talking about the follow-up to last year's P16 from the ProArt line. So we're talking about the Asus ProArt P16 here for 2025. Now, they've made some significant improvements year over year. We'll talk about that in the upcoming full review. But disclaimer here, I cannot give you any benchmark numbers. I cannot show you any kind of performance numbers here because the embargo has not lifted yet on that. But that's coming soon, so I will have a comprehensive full review on this product, but we can get our first look at it. We can get it out of the box and take a look at what I consider the premier laptop for creators here in 2025. Of course, that remains to be seen, but looking good on paper as far as what we want to see for creators. A lot of the improvements I'm expecting that I really wanted to see last year, we'll see this year. Sort of the display here, as far as I'm concerned, 16-inch Tandem OLED. So that's the first thing, check mark right there. 120 hertz, that's the second check mark, one from 60 to 120. Now this can reach as high as 1600 nits in HDR. That's the peak brightness, but I expect this to be very bright. Of course, I'll do all my measurements as I'll be able to do the full review once the embargo lifts. So I'll let you know exactly what I get in terms of measurements. But eyeballing this so far, looking really bright. So that's a big plus. Another check mark in the win column for this laptop. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is the Asus ProArt P16, brand new for 2025. Coming up. Pull this part out here and let's see what we got here. So this is the top part, and here is the inner box with the unit, and of course the power supply, and that looks like that's it for the outer box. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we have a 240 watt power supply, and it uses the proprietary connection. We've seen this one before from Asus. So that is good. And we have our power cord to go with that power supply. So there it is, pretty good length on that, pretty standard stuff, but 240 watts to power this. Of course, is going to have the RTX 5090. And then of course we get the unit itself here. So pretty nifty packaging. So this is where your story begins, according to this, says it right there. So we'll see. Feels good in the hands, very premium. Obviously, it's a premium flagship type of creator laptop. So lifting this up, we get some documentation from Asus here. We get some warranty information, and you get your guide here for this particular unit. So standard paperwork, nothing else in the box. And then, of course, we get the unit itself. Let's take it out of this felt here. And that's that. So we'll get a look at that in a moment. All right. So here we have a look at this, and it says the Asus Lumina Pro OLED. Again, this is a Tandem OLED, peak brightness of 1600 nits. This is pretty incredible. So you can get a look at that sticker right there. Gives you some of the information, the highlights of this premier type of laptop. So looking pretty good. Let's take the sticker off here. Really, really good. It's going to be great for AI work as well. We'll talk about that. So pretty cool. And let's take this off like that. Boom. And here it is. So you can get a look at it over here in this really nice black. Now they've put a really nice oleophobic coating according to the press material. So this should be a little bit more fingerprint resistant. I'm hoping that is the case. It has some Asus ProArt branding right there. You can get a look at that. And then, of course, we'll get a look at the ports and everything. But so far, this is looking pretty good. Let's get a measurement of the weight. So with just the unit alone, we're looking at 1.939 kilograms. And in pounds, we're looking at 4 pounds, 4.4 ounces. So for something that has a discrete GPU, the 5090, RTX 5090, that's pretty impressive. Now, with the power cord and the power supply, 240 watt power supply, 5 pounds, 12.8 ounces. And in kilograms, you're looking at 2.629 kilograms, and that is your total travel weight. Not too bad. Okay, let's see if we could do the you-know-what test, and we can. Wow, that looks really impressive here. So take a look at this keyboard deck here. So this is the DialPad. Of course, we've seen the Asus DialPad in the past. It is context specific to certain applications like Premiere Pro, Photoshop, and stuff like that, but also system-wide volume, brightness up and down, and so forth. And you turn it off there by sliding down from that circle down. So you do an angular line, and that turns it on and off. Create intuitively with Asus DialPad, smooth and precise adjustments in StoryCube, MuseTree, CapCut, Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Photoshop, and more. And it reduces the need for cursor movement and defines customized function for your creative app. So that is pretty good. I've used it before. Let's take this sticker off. Now, this is running the AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX 370 Strix Point. We've seen it before. It's the same processor from last year, but we have an upgraded GPU, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5090. So that is impressive. Of course, it's in a thin and light chassis, so we'll see how that performs. 6 speakers here, 2 tweeters and 4 woofers, so that looks like it might be really good. Last year was really good. And a really nice size touchpad here. Now, it is not haptic, so just keep that in mind, but it is a pretty nice touchpad, nice size, and if it's anything like last year, it'll work out fine. Now, less screen wobble I'm noticing here, a little bit still from that we saw last year. Again, one of my complaints, maybe a little bit tighter, I don't know, we'll see. I'll have to type on it, but when you're typing, looks pretty still for the most part. A little movement. I'd like to see that tightened up, as you know. Now, keyboard-wise, let's give it a listen and let's see how the feel is on that. Okay, so the touchpad is okay. I like it. Maybe I kind of wish it was haptic, but we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that in the full review. Keyboard feels fantastic. Key travel feels great. Now, let's get a look, before we get to the ports, let's get a look at it next to its predecessor. All right, so I have the old one, or last year's model, 2024, on the right, the new one on the left. So physically, they look the same. I don't see a huge difference cover-wise. They look very similar, so I don't see a big difference there. You can see the back end there. And from a physical standpoint, they look to be pretty much the same. So the new one on the left, which you can see here with the stickers on it, the one without the stickers is 2024. The same speaker setup, of course. Looks like the keys are very similar to last year, so that is interesting. Obviously, they didn't need to physically change too much. They just needed to make some of the improvements that I'm pretty confident we'll see here once I can give you that full review. But so far, this is what it looks like. All right, let's get a look at the ports here. And as you can see, on the left side is your DC in. You get an HDMI 2.1 FRL port. You get a USB 4.0 port, so that supports 40 gigabits per second. You get a USB-A 3.2 Gen 2 and your audio combo jack to round out the left side. Now, moving over to the right side is your full-size SD card reader, especially for a content creator. I think that's essential. Love to see that. You get another USB Type-A 3.2 Gen 2, and then you get a second USB Type-C port. This time it's 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C. It's not USB 4, so expect 10 gigabits per second for that one on the right. I would say all in all, a very good port selection. Obviously, we're not looking at Thunderbolt 5 here. This is running an AMD processor, so that is obviously one of the ports I'd like to see on something like this, but we're dealing with an AMD laptop here, and USB 4.0 will certainly suffice for most of you, or I would say the vast majority of you. 40 gigabits per second is the standard for what we've been seeing into 2025, but of course, we're going to start to see more Thunderbolt 5 devices as we roll into 2026. All right, let's plug this in. Obviously, this is the power supply supplied in the box. And let's put that into that DC in, and let's hit the power button. We'll keep the eye on this, the 240 watt. Again, I can't show you any benchmarks, but of course we can get a look at this. Very exciting display here, a Tandem OLED display, 16 inches, 3840 by 2400, so it's UHD plus. 120 hertz. One of the things we said last year was we'd like to see higher refresh rate. Well, we get that here on this one. So this is the Pro Lumina display, or Lumina Pro display. And again, this brings it to another level. Coverage of the color gamut should be off the chart, should be P3 coverage here. So if you're going to do content creation in Lightroom, Photoshop, video editing, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, you should be able to use this and actually get great results. So I'm looking forward to testing this out. Now, one thing to note as I'm setting this up, as you can see, I'm able to use my pen here. So I don't have the Asus Pen 2.0. I think that was the latest. But I have my HP pen here, and it works perfectly fine with this. So as you can see, I'm able to use this to navigate and click things. Obviously, we'll take notes with this, but a nice bonus for a creator laptop. So some people will want to be able to sketch out diagrams, take notes, do some artwork on this. It's not a convertible, so just keep that in mind, but you still have the option of using a pen. That is great. Now, while it's getting the latest updates over here, you can take a look at it. I'm going to raise the brightness. Now, this is a pretty bright display, and it's blowing out my camera. This one does have a pen support, a layer on this, or a stylus support. So that is one difference over that Yoga Pro 9i. But in a lot of ways, they share a lot of the same DNA in terms of wanting to be a creator laptop. So maybe we could put them head to head. I don't have official pricing yet for this. I will get it to you as soon as it's available. Of course, this is just a preview, an unboxing and first look. I will have an extensive full review with all the benchmarks and everything. Test the display. I'll give you the actual metrics and measurements of the display in terms of the actual nits and brightness and all that. Coverage of the color gamut should be excellent. And it is also color accurate, especially for a content creator who needs that kind of things, or needs that in terms of the display. So we'll have more to say on that very soon. Now, here you can take a look at the backlight. The backlight button is right there, the F4, but very nicely done here. So a nice way to get work done in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. That is going to be pretty easy to see in those dark environments. All right, so while the big updates from the initial setup are happening in the background, here is the unit itself. And I think they did a better job so far with the oleophobic coating, preventing smudges, or not eliminating them, but reducing them. And so far I've been handling this, and it seems to be a more improved coating on it. So we'll see how time will tell as far as that is concerned. I will talk more about it in the full review. Now, the build is pretty amazing. It's first-rate, Apple-esque, if you will, and it is really, really solid in terms of the build. All metal design here, premium materials. All right, let's turn on the dial pad here, and you can see I can do system volume here. That would bring up the volume as I'm scrolling, and that's 100%. And then I click that again, and I can go to system brightness. And again, this is right out of the box on the desktop here. So if I want screen brightness, I can click on that, and then boom, I can do, you know, whatever brightness I want. Let's go all the way down here as I scroll. And then as I want to go all the way up, you just scroll around the dial pad. And again, to turn it on, you just swipe down diagonally from the upper right-hand corner, and that indicates that it's on with that little light there, and you can see that there. And then to turn it off, you swipe it again, and that light goes off. All right, so I have them both here. This is the 2024 version at 60 hertz. This is the 2025 version, and you can see here, this is a little bit more glossy than this year. So this is the Tandem OLED. This is a standard OLED. And you're going to see right away, and it's hard to show this on camera, but in person, you can definitely see the brighter display is this one. And again, I'll do all my measurements in the full review, but this one is certainly a beautiful display, but Tandem OLED brings it to another level in terms of brightness and efficiency. So I'm hoping a little bit more battery life. I was seeing 7 to 8 hours on average on this one. Hopefully we can match that or maybe get even better, who knows. But remember, keep in mind 120 hertz will eat more battery life, so you have the option to go to 60. So that is just something to be aware of. Now, as far as the same display in terms of stylus support, here you can see I'm using a pen with this. So if you want to take notes and stuff like that, you can use it. Obviously, stylus support last year as well. So good to have a pen. I don't have the Asus pen with me, but it does use the MPP 2.0 standard, which is the Microsoft Pen protocol. So that should be pretty good for you to use. And here you can see these are two beautiful displays. Again, a little bit more glossy on this one than on this one. And again, this is the new Tandem OLED. So I'll have more to say on this as I put it through its paces and do the benchmarking and all I normally do on my full reviews. Of course, once the embargo lifts, I will bring you that. It'll be comprehensive. We'll get a look at battery life, the display metrics, the performance numbers, obviously, the gaming numbers, and of course, doing content creation, see how it does in DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, that kind of thing. And we'll also take a look to see if Linux will run on this. And we will see how this is in terms of it as an everyday general purpose laptop as well. So stay tuned. That full review is coming very soon. So please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. And if you're a casual viewer of my content, why not hit that subscribe button? It doesn't cost you anything. Help support the channel as we're making our big push for 300,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, if you're going to buy something like the Asus ProArt P16, I'll have links for everything in the description below. Yes, they are affiliate links. No, I do not get a huge commission, a small commission that helps support the channel. It actually helps keep the lights on here in the studio. So until next time, this is Andrew, and I'll see you in the next video.